Have you ever walked into a store and seen a shirt with a price tag that says, originally $200, now only $50? You immediately think, wow, what a steal. Your brain instantly registers the $200 as the shirt's value. And the $50 seems incredibly cheap in comparison. You feel like you're getting a massive deal. But what if I told you the shirt was never worth $200? What if that number was intentionally put there to trap you? This is one of the most powerful and sneaky psychological biases that influences every single one of us. From how we shop to how we negotiate our salaries. It's called the anchoring effect, and it's the reason a single move, psi or relevant number can hijack your entire decision-making process. The truth about how your brain falls for this trick is much more shocking than you think. Stick around to the end because the most important tip to break free from this trap is coming up, and it could save you thousands. So, what exactly is the anchoring effect? It's our tendency to rely too heavily on the very first piece of information we're given, which acts as an anchor when making subsequent judgments. Once that anchor is set, our brains adjust from it, but never enough. It's like being in a boat with a chain tied to the seabed. No matter how much you try to move, you're always being pulled back to that initial spot. The anchor can be any number, and it doesn't even have to be relevant to the decision at hand. In a classic study by psychologists Kahneman and Tversky, participants were asked to spin a wheel of fortune that landed on either 10 or 65. Then, they were asked to estimate the percentage of African nations in the United Nations. Those who landed on 10 guessed, on average, a much lower percentage than those who landed on 65. The number on the wheel, completely random and unrelated, acted as a powerful anchor. Think about that for a second. An entirely arbitrary number influenced a factual estimate. That's the insidious power of this bias. Don't go anywhere. Because we're about to dive into some real-world examples that will make you rethink every purchase you've ever made. This effect is everywhere, and businesses use it against you constantly. Think about real estate. The first number you see is the listing price. That number is almost always a carefully calculated anchor. Even if you think it's too high, your negotiation will likely start from that point, rather than the property's actual market value. You're already trapped. And what about those buy one, get one half off deals? The price of the first item is the anchor, making the second item seem like a bargain, even if the total price is still more than you wanted to spend. Retailers, marketers, and even social media influencers know this trick well. They strategically present information in a way that makes you perceive value based on comparison, rather than on objective truth. This bias also plays a huge role in salary negotiations. The person who names a number first, whether it's the company's offer or your requested salary, sets the anchor for the entire conversation. If you're not prepared, you could be leaving thousands of dollars on the table, even when you think you're negotiating fairly. Your brain unconsciously adjusts your expectations based on the initial number. Anchoring doesn't just influence money, it impacts your perception of time, effort, and even social situations. For instance, if someone tells you that the average commute in your city is 90 minutes, your brain might accept a 70-minute commute as short, even if objectively it's still long. Our judgments are subtly shifted without us even realizing it. So why are we so susceptible to this trap? The main reason is something called insufficient adjustment. Our brains are designed to be efficient, not always accurate. When we're faced with an unfamiliar problem, the brain latches onto the first available piece of information and uses it as a shortcut. It's too much work to completely ignore the anchor and start from scratch. Instead, it makes small adjustments up or down from that anchor until it settles on a number it thinks is right. But the adjustment is almost never big enough to get to the real objective value. The second reason is that anchors prime our thinking. When we hear a high number, our brain starts to look for reasons to justify that high number. For example, If you see a car listed for an astronomical price, your brain will automatically start focusing on its premium features, its low mileage, or its spotless interior to justify the high cost, instead of looking at other, more reasonable options. This all happens subconsciously, which makes it even harder to fight. Let's add another layer. Anchors can be social as well as numerical. Suppose your friend casually mentions that their new gadget cost $1,000. The next time you see a similar gadget, your perception of what is reasonable may have shifted, even if you have no intention of spending that much. Anchoring doesn't just manipulate wallets, it manipulates expectations, desires, and even self-esteem. You may feel compelled to buy the latest model to keep up, not because you want it, but because the anchor set by social cues nudged your brain to accept a higher number as normal. So, how can we fight back against the anchoring effect? The first and most crucial step is awareness. Simply knowing that this bias exists is your first line of defense. The next time you see a sale price or hear an initial offer, recognize it for what it is, an anchor. Acknowledging the trap takes away its power. But just being aware isn't enough. The second step is to do your research. Before you buy anything expensive or enter a negotiation, research the true market value. Arm yourself with real, objective data. This creates your own internal anchor, one based on facts, not persuasion. This new anchor will compete with the one the other person is trying to set. It's giving you a much stronger position. And if you are the one making the first offer in a negotiation, go high. Make your ambitious but justified number the anchor. Frame your number with reasoning and context, not arrogance. Explain your thought process. Numbers alone are weaker than numbers plus narrative. Anchors become more powerful when paired with persuasive context. But your own well-reasoned anchor can neutralize the effect. But there's one more powerful tip, and it's the most important piece of advice you'll ever get. It's coming up at the end, and it will give you a freedom you never thought possible. And here's the surprise I promised you. The absolute biggest secret to overcoming the anchoring effect is to focus on your internal value. Stop thinking about what something is worth in a negotiation or a purchase, and instead focus on what it is worth to you. In a salary negotiation, instead of just countering with a number, explain why you are worth that number. Detail your unique skills, your past accomplishments, and your potential for future contributions. In a purchase, instead of focusing on the price, think about how the item will improve your life. The less you focus on the numbers being thrown around, the more you focus on true value, the less power the anchor has. This isn't about ignoring numbers completely. It's about making sure your decisions are based on your needs and goals, not on some arbitrary number a stranger dropped in front of you. This isn't about becoming a master manipulator. It's about shifting your mindset from being a passive consumer to being an empowered decision maker. It's about reclaiming your brain from subtle psychological traps and redirecting your energy toward what truly matters to you. The journey to freedom from the anchor is an ongoing one. But with each small step's time you choose to do your research or focus on your personal value, chip away at its power. You gain clarity, confidence, and independence. You start seeing through marketing tactics, societal pressure, and impulsive urges. You realize that the true power isn't in the numbers, they're just distractions. The power is in you, in your knowledge, your reasoning, and your courage to act deliberately. So start today, right now. Take a moment to think of one small, courageous action you can take, free from the influence of an anchor. Maybe it's negotiating a discount at a small store, or simply saying no to a sales pitch. Maybe it's resisting the urge to buy the latest smartphone because someone suggested it's hot or limited edition. Every little act of self-trust builds momentum and moves you closer to true confidence. With each decision made on your terms, the anchoring effect loses its grip. Thanks for watching, and I hope this helps you make smarter decisions. If you liked this video, you'll love my next one on why we procrastinate. Make sure you're subscribed and have notifications turned on so you don't miss it. What's the one thing you're going to do to fight the anchoring effect? Let me know in the comments below. Start small, start now, and remember, control your own value. Base your decisions on facts and personal worth, and never let arbitrary numbers dictate your choices. True freedom comes when you decide for yourself.